SmallDogElectronics' original business plan, and this is a little bit humorous, was to use SmallDogElectronics and the revenue that we create from going to these auctions and buying and selling computers to open a brewery. And, you know, that was really our idea. And it was, you know, Happy and me and Artie. I had brewed this really good home brew called Prickly Mountain Minus 40 Degree Ale that everybody just raved about, and we figured we could replicate that. We soon abandoned that idea, but where we focused our attention was that SmallDogElectronics as a money machine meant more to us as a socially responsible business than it did simply because selling Apple product. We felt that concentrating our efforts on building a different kind of business that measures its success not by the number of dollars they put in the owner's pocket, but by the triple bottom line of people, planet, and profit, makes for a new kind of business that is consistent with the 21st century economy that we feel is important to Vermont and to the nation. So we concentrated on providing the best set of employee benefits we can to create a workplace that is extremely human oriented and of course canine oriented. We can't do anything without our dogs, as well as to take a good look at the environment and what our environmental footprint is. When we bought the facility in Waitsfield, it was on the hazardous waste site list here in Vermont because it had been a construction company. There was a lot of there's many 55-gallon drums of random material there. There was underground storage tanks that were leaking into the groundwater. And we bought it knowing that we would have to clean this up. So as part of our purchase, we pulled out 2 huge trucks full of 55-gallon drums. We basically cleaned up a junkyard and made it into a park. We filled underground storage tanks. We drilled test wells to monitor the water supply. And in the course of about a year and a half after our purchase, we had it off of the list of hazardous waste sites. We also started looking at what is our footprint on the environment. And one of the areas that became very apparent to us as we were buying large quantities of used computer gear is we were taking a lot of that stuff to the dump. The stuff that wasn't useful, we'd load up in dumpsters and it would go to the dump. And we began to investigate e-waste. What really was in the stuff that we were taking to the dump? And it was then that we created an awareness of the waste stream that we were creating by our business and took steps to mitigate that. Our first effort was to offer recycling to our customers. We began to offer free recycling of electronic waste when somebody bought a computer, and then began to charge, you know, the cost to us of recycling e-waste. We made sure that our partners in recycling this waste handled it properly, that it wasn't shipped overseas, and then decided one day around Earth Day that we would do an e-waste recycling event, that we would offer free recycling on Earth Day. And the first event, we thought we might get 5 tons of e-waste, and we got 50 tons. It was a huge mountain of e-waste at our store in South Burlington. Everybody felt great about the huge amount of effort that went into that, and we decided to make it an annual event and stay involved in the discussion of how to deal with e-waste. 2 subsequent events were also highly successful, with 140 tons and nearly 160 tons collected on 2 subsequent e-waste events. And while we were working on that, we also worked with the legislature here in Vermont to create a landmark e-waste bill that basically makes e-waste recycling free in Vermont forever. And I think that that's a piece of legislation that will be repeated around the country. And I think that it was, you know, the awareness that we created around e-waste led to this kind of legislation. But we're very committed to planet, both in terms of reducing our own carbon footprint, understanding our impact on the environment, and also doing something aggressively to continue to protect our environment. we are the only electronics reseller that can say that we've recycled more electronic waste than we've sold into the waste stream. In terms of people, I think that it's clear that we want to create the best workplace we can, that we want to provide the best set of benefits. We're one of the few companies that still provides the majority of employees' health insurance, both for them and their family. It's a very difficult thing to maintain, as it requires about 18% of our payroll at this point. We even provide veterinary insurance for up to 2 dogs per employee. But we also provide access to health club at our facility, short-term and long-term disability, and very human-oriented benefits such as CTR, combined time off, rather than breaking it down to holidays and sick days and asking the employee to report whether they're sick or whether they just need a mental health day. We feel that we want to push that window as much as we can. The better workplace we create, the better employees we will have. And so we're very, very committed to that. The other commitment we have that falls into the category of people is customers and vendors. Customer satisfaction is the single most important criteria in determining our incentive compensation. And we've adopted a measuring device known as Net Promoter Score that is a measure of customer satisfaction. We measure this constantly, both by company-wide and by departments. And as we see those scores rise and fall, we see the chatter amongst our employees responding to that, whether it's the sales department saying, wow, our NPS score is a little bit lower this month, what do we do about it, and changes they would make to enhance customer satisfaction, or whether company-wide overall, we have discussions about that. So dealing with our customers as individuals and making customers for life and providing that level of customer satisfaction is part of our commitment to people. We feel the same way about our vendors. We don't look at vendors as people to take advantage of or companies to take advantage of. We look at them as partners in trying to make an effective company out of SmallDogElectronics. So our relationships with our vendors tend to be more personal and personable than many companies. And while we certainly aggressively negotiate for the best possible price, we also want to make sure that we're creating those personal relationships.